Hare Krishna. Good evening. 7 o'clock, so I suppose we should make a start. Thank you very, very much for coming. Thank you very much for all your help and assistance setting up. As soon as we're missing the main man this evening, Danagati Prabhu. I don't know where he is, but it's very nice to welcome back our congregation from India. How was it? All right? Everything okay? Good. Nice to be back, by the way. Yeah? Okay, so there'll be probably a few more people coming, but we'll make a start. Where's Prema? Okay, before we start, just because there is, I think everybody, yeah, we have one new person here, so I'll explain a little bit about what we do here and what this is about before we start. All of you experts in transcendental knowledge, you'll have to bear with me for a second. So, our Guru Maharaj is Srila Prabhupada, this gentleman over here on the left of the altar, who came to inaugurate this programs in the Western world back in 1966. He spent about 30 years planning this. He was in a place called Vrindavan in India. And his guru in the 1920s had told him to come and spread this Krishna consciousness in the Western world. Until then, it was relatively unknown. Even in India, it had been forgotten about a bit. But in about 500 years ago, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inaugurated this process of meditation and spiritual, this Vedic, reintroduced this Vedic culture into the world. Now, Lord Chaitanya was an incarnation of Krishna, and he unlocked a treasure house of spiritual knowledge that had been hidden away, because previously it had been very difficult to become Krishna conscious, actually. It took a lot of work, a lot of meditation, a lot of temple worship, a lot of philosophical study, etc., etc. But the sages in India 5,000 years ago knew that in Kali Yuga, in the age we live in now, it was going to be very difficult for people to A, practice meditation, B, to live a spiritual lifestyle. And so there had to be a way to make it very simple for people in this age, because Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, this age we live in. We only have to look at the news, look around the world and see the terrible state the world is in, and the terrible consciousness of the people who are leading everybody and misleading everybody, actually, destroying the planet in the process, yes? So there has to be a change, and that change has to come from changing the consciousness first. And to do that, he inaugurated this process of this mantra meditation. This mantra is the Hare Krishna mantra. 3 words, Hare Krishna Rama. And this sound vibration, when it's spoken, is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, is actually the recommended process of meditation for Kali Yuga, for this age. It's the easiest, it's the most direct method of attaining spiritual realization and knowledge and elevating ourselves, and also to help others also. And because it's a spiritual sound vibration, that it's very important that we do it in as much as possible, not only for ourselves but for the planet and all other living entities. As we've discussed many, many times before, the soul is within every living entity is a spiritual being. Yes, within this room there are billions, probably, of living entities. Yes. Now we are in this room, and we are in the human form of life, and it is only in the human body that we can actually understand this knowledge. You can't do it in any other form of life. But this mantra is so powerful. It is a spiritual, transcendental sound vibration. It actually will help all other living entities. That is why the devotees are always chanting around in the streets. You see them run up and down Oxford Street and Trafalgar and Leicester Square and everything. Not because it's ecstatic, because it is. It is ecstatic to do it, but it's also giving something to it. It's planting a seed in many, many other living entities' hearts, though they don't realise it. So it's a very important process. So Srila Prabhupada brought this process over from India back in 1966, and he inaugurated this sort of program, opened temples and everything else where people could go, associate with other like-minded souls, and that's very important also. But the mantra itself, which we'll do in a second, can be done in two ways. Two main ways that we do it. It can be done in any way you like. You can chant it wherever you are at any time. You don't have to go and sit in the quiet room somewhere. You can do it while you're hoovering. You can do it while you're walking down the street, while you're working, whenever. There's no hard and fast rules to chanting this mantra. It produces a state of bliss. It also produces knowledge from within us, because knowledge is, as we've discussed before, is revealed. Yeah? And various other things, and many other benefits to it, not only from a health and mental health side of things, but from many other things as well. It's a very, very important thing. It's called the Maha Mantra. Maha in Sanskrit meaning great, the great mantra. This because it encompasses all other spiritual processes, all other mantras are included in the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra. Two ways we do it. One is in groups like this, which is called Kirtan, usually with musical instruments and singing. Or you can do it privately. These japa, we usually have japa mala beads like this. For initiated devotees such as myself and Prem down here, we use these, and we vow when we take initiation from our guru to do 16 rounds of this every day. It takes about an hour and a half. And that's not an imposition, it's actually a pleasure. But sometimes we have to make adjustments in our life to do that. But that's comes later when you get serious, right? He's serious, somehow. So anyway, so this chanting of Hare Krishna is very, very important. There are innumerable books and lots of things to understand about this chanting. It's very, very deep. And I've been doing it now for 40 odd years, and it just gets better and better. So, like I've said before, you take it away, it's free, we don't charge anything. No, it's not meant for making money, it's not meant for any other purpose than to help you to become happy. That's all Srila Prabhupada wants, that's all Krishna wants. He wants us to be happy. It's such a beautiful thing, isn't it? So we can be happy like that. So Kirtan, which we're going to do, is a call and response type of meditation. And for those of you who haven't done it before, you'll soon get the hang of it. So we do a couple of prayers to our spiritual master and to Lord Chaitanya to begin with. Then we get into the mantra, and we'll all get to the end of it together. Is that okay? Is that a fairly good overview? Yes? And I think His Grace Premaniketan Das will be giving us a class later. And it looks like it's going to be very special this evening. We have a screen and everything. Get very modern. So anyway, so please. But the important thing about meditation, of course, is that we do it. And that's the most important thing. Like we often say, if you give someone a jar of honey, you don't lick the outside of the jar. You have to taste the honey. You have to get inside it, and you'll experience what honey tastes like. If you don't do it, you won't. But hearing it is good anyway. But please join in and make it quite ecstatic. Any questions or comments or corrections? No? Okay. You're all experienced chanters, I know. We've been very blissful. Shrimati Bhakti Blissed out from Sunday, because you can see from Radharani's appearance day. Hare Krishna, thank you very much. So that chanting is transcendental sound vibration, spiritual sound vibration. It's not material, it doesn't stem from the material platform. So these words are not like chanting Coca-Cola or what was it, Prabhupada said, Guru Das was listening to a book today by Mukunda, my namesake, and he was saying that he said, you chant Queen Elizabeth over and over and over again, you won't get the same effect. You'll soon get bored chanting Queen Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth, whatever other words you may want to chant. It won't work. But this is transcendental. These names of Krishna and Rama and Hari are transcendental sound vibrations. They're not material words. So therefore they never get boring, they never get dull, they're just increasing. Because spiritual energy is always increasing. Material energy is always actually decreasing in one sense. You may find some pleasure in something material for a short while, but it won't last. And always we're looking for a new pleasure, something else to give us pleasure, something else to give us pleasure. But this chanting will always give you pleasure. And the more you do it, and the more you progress with your chanting and this meditation, the more you'll experience higher levels of consciousness, higher levels of realization, and higher levels of bliss. So it's free. So please take it and don't forget to do it. Because our mind will always tell us to do something else, right, as we've discussed many times. The whole point of yoga is to control the mind, yes? And Who's controlling the mind? This blissful being that is actually thinks they're their body or thinks they're their mind. No, we're not the mind. Who controls the mind? Yeah. I have to tell my mind every day, no, I don't want to do. No, you're not going to convince me that I'm not going to do this or go with this or do this. Something detrimental. Who's doing that? It's not the mind. I'm not the mind. The mind is a material element. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego, ahankara, a false ego, are all material, either gross or subtle. They're material things. We are different. We're spiritual beings. We're above that. We are transcendent, a different platform. But we have forgotten that. We're covered by these modes of nature, these modes of ignorance and passion, everything. For some reason, we dropped into this state. Now we've got a chance to get out of it and live an eternal life of bliss. So please take it. Please do it as much as you can. Okay, so I believe we have the start of a special type of presentation.
Yeah, we have a combination of things.
Okay, so I'm going to hand over to HG Premaniketan. Thank you very, very much for joining in with this chanting, and I'll see you later. Haribol.
Haribol. So we've got our band people are back.
We've got that choir back.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari Hare Krishna. I'd like to welcome all of you today evening's ISKCON North Kent Satsang, Sangha, gathering, meeting. It's fantastic weather outside. It's nice. Nice. And a lot of people are busy doing a lot of other things. But we are here. We are partying as well. I think that's the important to know. Yeah? We party every Friday, and we party very hard. We chant, we sing, we dance, and we feast. Yeah? Huh? She calls me Dr. Halwa. Dr. Halwa. Thank God. Yeah. So today we are going to do slightly different. So today we're going to cover introduction to Bhagavad Gita. That's written by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya. I hope everyone knows what Bhagavad Gita is. Are you new to us here? Are you new to us? What's your name? Victoria. Welcome, Victoria. My name is Prema. Yeah, Premaniketan Das. Yeah. So Bhagavad Gita is basically song of God. Krishna. We don't have a copy of Bhagavad Gita today. Is there one in the back? So this is Bhagavad Gita. This is Bhagavad Gita. Song of God. Who sings at the battlefield? There's a battle between two armies, huge armies. In that, millions of people were killed. And Krishna is standing in the midst of armies and singing a song. Only Krishna could do that. Only Krishna could do that. And in this book, there's a lot of things discussed. It's like a desire tree. Whatever questions we may have, you open the page and you get your answers. This happens so many times. Every time you read, you find new things. And the doubts you have, questions you have, you open any page and start reading. So either Krishna has spoken about it, or Srila Prabhupada has mentioned about our doubts in his purport. That's the beauty of this book. This book has 700 verses and makes it slightly thicker because Srila Prabhupada has given his purport. And the reason being is that our brain is really, really corrupt. And we have a tendency to interpret and misinterpret, add something, remove something. So I was listening to Srila Prabhupada's class today. I was driving from Canterbury to my home. And Srila Prabhupada says that Mahatma Gandhi, once he was asked, I think he was giving a class on Bhagavad Gita somewhere. And Mahatma Gandhi, he misinterpreted the first shloka of Bhagavad Gita. Who remembers the first shloka? That's the homework for next week. I'm actually in the teacher mode today because I've been teaching all day today. So I'm in the teacher mode. Huh?
The sons of Pandit.
Yeah. Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samveta Yuyusava Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya. So what Gandhi misinterpreted this shloka, because Krishna says Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. Yeah, Dhananjaya talking. Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. So Kurukshetra is the Dharma Kshetra. Yeah? And that's the place. Even before the battlefield of Kurukshetra took place, means Mahabharata, that place was still pilgrimage. A lot of people will come there on certain days and perform penances and stuff. And Srila Prabhupada said that Mahatma Gandhi was very intelligent in everything, but he failed to understand the first verse of Bhagavad Gita. To understand Bhagavad Gita, we don't need intelligence. We need faith. We need devotion. We must have faith in Krishna. We must have faith in Supreme Personality of Godhead. This universe, this creation is manifested. There's an engineer behind it. It's very simple to understand. We just can't throw some stones and expect them to start revolving around each other. So they are rolling around. At the same time, they are moving around like this. We never see this kind of thing. And they're doing everything perfectly as they're supposed to do. The earth is revolving, place is moving around. Everything is Maya Dhakshena Prakriti, Suyate Sacharacharam. Under my direction, this material creation functions. That's what Krishna says. Under my direction. So there has to be someone's direction. In my workplace, we have directions. There's direction available. There's hierarchy there. And everything can well-oiled system. So just imagine that when we kind of make an attempt to make it function very nicely. Here Krishna, under direction of Krishna, things are functioning. Just imagine, Krishna has no fault in him. We have faults. We have tendency to commit mistake. We have tendency to become illusioned by things. We have tendency to become fooled. Or largely have been fooled. Aren't we? Being fooled every time, every day, every moment, more or less. Thinking that not today, next moment, next day, next month, next year, I'm going to become blissful. Krishna says, don't be fooled. You'll bite the dust. So there's a song Krishna spoke in the midst of two armies. And we're going to hear introduction to this book today by Conor Prabhu and Aribel. They're a beautiful couple and they have been practicing Krishna consciousness last 5-6 months. 6 months? Close to 6 months.
Divine.
Close to 6 months. Yes, they have become divine couple. And both of them are going to come here and give us a short presentation on introduction to Bhagavad Gita. And then we'll have, if you have any questions, please ask. Just imagine that it is Srila Prabhupada who is writing introduction. He is not just a material scholar. He is a phenomenon that took place just about. He was born in 1896 and he left the planet in 1978. But in 12 years' time, when he was in the West, he did magic, and we are the product of that magic here. We're sitting. Srila Prabhupada is no more. He is around us, but not in his physical body. But if any person in the world I feel closest, that's him, Srila Prabhupada. I don't find anyone close to me that much as Srila Prabhupada I feel. No one comes close, even my parents, because I've got so much from him.
Hare Krishna. So as Prabhuji said, we're gonna
See, again, tech.
Put your hand in it as well. Put your hand in it. Sit on the side of the corner.
So as Prabhuji said, we're going to give a brief summary of the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita. Disclaimer, if we misunderstood anything, there are some senior devotees in the room who can please correct us. So as Prabhuji said, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master, he transcribed this version of the Bhagavad Gita. So there are many versions of the Bhagavad Gita, many versions of other people who have transcribed those. But the reason this one is as it is because Srila Prabhupada, he translated it as it is. There was no adulteration, no adaptation, no ulterior motive, put into the translation. So he translated it purely as it is. So it says it in the name. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's also the most qualified person due to the disciplic succession, the parampara. So, he was taught by his spiritual master and it's passed down. And that disciplic succession can be traced back to Lord Krishna himself, if I'm not mistaken. So all glories to Srila Prabhupada for translating this. So it starts off with a prayer, and hopefully we can all say this mantra together. Om Ajnana Tirmadyasya Jnananjana Chakshu Antumena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. And you can see that picture at the bottom is our parampara, so our disciplic succession. So Prabhuji touched on most of this already, but it's just a brief overview of what is the Bhagavad Gita. So the literal translation is Song of God. Bhagavat means Bhagavan, divine being, and Gita means song. So it literally translates as the Song of God. And so who wrote the Gita? Well, it's Krishna. It was spoken by Lord Krishna himself, hence why it's called the Song of God. So it's a 700-verse dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjuna, and as Prabhuji said, set on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So Arjuna was a warrior prince of the Pandavas, and he became overwhelmed. He started experiencing anxiety because of the realization that he's going to be going into battle and be fighting and killing his relatives, friends, family, teachers. So the thought of this struck him with a lot of anxiety. And so his Lord Krishna, who was his charioteer and his divine friend, revealed himself and started to deliver this sacred wisdom to Arjuna to help him in this situation. So the Bhagavad Gita is that dialogue, essentially. It's just a nice picture to meditate on, Arjuna and Lord Krishna. So what is the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita? It's to deliver mankind from material existence, to teach us that our existence is eternal, sat, and not to get entangled with material existence, asat. We all go through day-to-day life, so many worries, anxieties, things go wrong, we can't comprehend the reasons behind that. We identify with these bodies, So the purpose of the Gita is trying to teach us that we are not these bodies. We're something much more eternal than these material bodies. So once we get to grips and we understand that, it can relieve us of suffering. So to teach us how to purify our consciousness through the process of bhakti, which is what we're practicing here today, the process of devotion. And devotion to who? Well, it's Lord Krishna himself. It's to remind us of the real purpose of life, which is to serve God, so to serve Lord Sri Krishna. So that's the purpose of it. You know, we can draw parallels even in terms of Arjuna. He was on the battlefield. He was facing, all these thoughts, anxieties, worries. Very similar to what we all experience. None of us are on the battlefield, but we have our day-to-day lives. We go to work. We might have a stressful day, or my car might break, or all of these things that occur. So this is the purpose of these teachings: is to hopefully make us realise that there's a lot more to this life than all of these mundane material things that we get so attached to. So that's the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. Another lovely picture to meditate on as well. A wonderful devotee chanting his rounds, his japa, trying to connect to Lord Krishna.
That's a Sanatana Goswami. Lord Krishna used to bring milk to him every single day.
Wow. So before we try to open up the Gita and taking these teachings, it's important to know how to approach it. And Prabhuji touched on it already. We need to approach it with a sense of humility, surrender, submissiveness, as a surrendered soul, in a spirit of devotion. As Prabhuji said, we need to have a level of faith foremost. We need to be accepting that Lord Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the absolute truth. If we come in with our conditioned mindset and try to open it, we're not gonna understand or receive those teachings. So we need to be humble. We need to come with a state of humility and have faith in these teachings. And they're best received through the Guru-disciple system, so our parampara. Again, so it comes from our spiritual master, it comes from the Guru. So again, we have a real, true understanding of what the teachings are. If we're not in a humble state, it'd be difficult to comprehend those teachings, and that's why the Guru is so important.
Our relationships with Lord Krishna. So there's 5 ways which we can have a direct relationship with Krishna. And these are the 5 ways that the introduction mentions. So to be passive, and we'll cover on these in the next kind of few slides with a very brief introduction, but to be passive, active, so that's maybe through chanting, kirtan, to be Krishna's friend, so a close relationship with Krishna, always having Krishna in our hearts, to see Krishna as our parent, our family, and to see Krishna as our lover, our close lover. And the Gita introduction says that Arjuna was in a relationship with the Lord as a friend, and this is different from any friendship in the material world. It's a transcendental friendship that can't basically be had by just anybody.
So when it says, so that those are the 5 ways that one can have a relationship with the Lord. Passive, my understanding is there's a recognition that Krishna is supreme, he's God, but you're not actively serving Krishna. You're not. You're aware of that, you acknowledge that, but you're going about your daily life. Whereas active, you are actively trying to please Krishna. You're serving him in devotion. You're following the process of bhakti, as Mataji said. You're doing your japa. You're serving. And the friend, again, the parallels. Arjuna was in friendship with Krishna. Parent, Mother Yashoda, and the lover is Radha and Gopis. So those are the 5 different ways that one can connect and have a direct relationship with Sri Krishna. But again, a very important point. It's very different from any friendship in this material world. So it's important to remember that it's a transcendental friendship. There's another beautiful picture. So the Bhagavad Gita covers 5 basic truths, or 5 topics, so to speak, and we will cover them each in the next slides. But just to note, so the 5 are Ishvara, God, or the Supreme Lord; Jiva, living entity; Prakriti, material nature; Kala, time, or eternal time; and Karma, activity. So karma is probably the most well known by a lot of people. Over there in Krishna consciousness, not everyone knows the term karma, but we will go into that a lot deeper. So the first of the 5 basic truths is Ishvara. So Ishvara means supreme controller, or the Supreme Lord, who is Lord Sri Krishna. He is eternal and unaffected by the modes of nature. He controls material nature, and everything emanates from him. And that's referenced within the Bhagavad Gita. There's Lord Sri Krishna himself. Playing his beautiful flute. So the next one is Jiva. Jiva is the living entity. And when we say Jiva, when we say living entity, again, it's coming from the understanding that we are not these bodies, we are something eternal. We are the soul. We don't have a soul. That is our true nature. We're not talking about these material bodies. So the Jiva is the living entity, the soul, which is eternal, conscious of one's own self and affected by the modes of nature. And Jiva, or living entities, are a fragmented part of Krishna, of the Supreme Lord. So we have the same qualities, but minute in quantity. And I love that comparison. It's like a drop. So Jiva is like a drop, and the overall ocean is Ishvara. So again, same in quality, but the quantity is just, you can't compare them. And the living entity has limited free will, but always under the Supreme Lord's control. And I'm not sure if you can see, but that's another wonderful picture there. You can see all the jivas, all the living entities with Krishna in their heart. So the next one is Prakriti, which means material nature. So there are 2 types of material nature. First one is para, which means superior or the highest, which is living entities. And then there's also apara, so inferior or lower, which is the elements earth, water, fire, air, ether. Also the mind, intelligence, and the false ego. And there are 3 modes or qualities that influence all living beings. So those modes are called the gunas. Those 3 modes are sattva, which is goodness, purity, rajas, passion, and tamas, ignorance. So all living entities are influenced by those three modes and qualities. This is another lovely picture that I love as well. And the next 2 are kala and karma. So kala is eternal time, and karma is activity. All living entities are controlled by time. As the soul, as we discussed, our true nature is the soul, we're eternal. But as the soul migrates to different bodies, different entities, he suffers the actions and reactions of his past activities, which is karma. But these activities can be changed when a living being is in the mode of goodness. So because those activities can be changed, if something can be changed, it can't be eternal, it can't be absolute, it's changing. Therefore karma is not eternal. So the other 4 truths, they're all eternal, but karma is not. So how do we change our karma? Through the process of bhakti. It cleanses those activities. That's another picture that I personally love as well. You can see the soul migrating through all the different forms, from birth, youth, old age, death. So the body, whilst the body may come and go, the soul continues to migrate back in the cycle of samsara, birth, death, birth, death, birth, death. And the only way to escape that is through practicing bhakti and then cleansing all of those karmas. That's the overview. Jai Srila Prabhupada. All glory to Srila Prabhupada for translation of the Gita. And last but not least, keep on chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Any questions or any comments?
That's good to me.
The introductory part of Bhagavad Gita is quite intense because Srila Prabhupada he really goes into a lot of details of everything. The most important part, what we need to remember, is walk away from the previous class, is the 5 things that Bhagavad Gita covers in totality. There's Ishvara, to build our understanding that who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is. Okay? So this material world functions under that Supreme Personality's direction. It doesn't just function whimsically. Yeah? Our caste doesn't function whimsically. Our mobile doesn't function just whimsically. There is an operator. There's system inbuilt. It works. Yeah? So that's the Ishvara. And then comes the Jiva. Soul. That's us. Yeah? And we have tendency to either go upwards stay the same or go downwards. Going downwards is very easy. Yeah? Just like water, it flows downwards very easily. There's gravitational force. Yeah? So come to this material world constitutes of lower energy of Krishna. Yeah? And this material world is called Mrityu Samsara. Doesn't matter what we do, we have to die. Death is certain. Once we are born, one thing is 100% is coming to get us is death. But once we know that Jiva is a part and parcel of Krishna, it's eternal. It does not die. You can't kill it, you can't wet it, you can't burn it, you can't do anything with this. You can't touch the soul by any material activity, by any material instrument. Once this information sinks in our brain and heart that I'm eternal, yeah? What generally happens, that person is born just like a bird. If there was a hole, a bird comes and flew through the other side of the hole. Yeah? What happens to us that we see, bird came, that's a birth. Out, that's a death. Yeah? That's what we see, isn't it? And that's what we consider birth and death. What we not see is that bird was on a journey, flying from far away, and the journey is far away. What we are seeing is a fraction of that moment of the journey. And we think, that's birth, gone, I feel sad. Once we know that I'm eternal soul, for me there is no death, there is no birth, the 99% of our problems is solved. 99% of our problems is solved. But this fear is instilled because of lack of knowledge. We don't have knowledge. We don't have knowledge about it. We don't know. No one tells us that we are eternal soul. They tell you that you are this body. The soul doesn't get diseased. Soul is just covered by a lot of layers. You discussed about layers of sattva, rajas and tamas, mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. And we are controlled by them. If you look around, the most of manufacturing is basically trying to manipulate through these three energies. Yeah? Mode of tamas, if we have tendency to fall into mode of tamas, means mode of ignorance. Yeah? Then you go to certain places, alcohol, drugs, and other bits and pieces. Yeah? So they control you there. There you go. Now you are under my control. That's it. If you're in the mode of rajas, passion, you're so passionate about everything. Yeah? And the problem is that when we are in these modes, we don't think about anything about soul, about God, about Krishna. We are so much churned, yeah, continuously. Media is driving us crazy. Yeah? I may miss out. Yeah? I may miss out, isn't it? Let's not miss out. Let's be on the track. So you buy and buy and buy and satisfy, But soul is, until we satisfy the soul, sam siddhim haritoshanam. Once we satisfy Krishna, our soul automatically becomes satisfied. Sam siddhim haritoshanam. Once we satisfy Krishna, that's a Rishikena, Uchitam. We just need to satisfy Krishna. In that process, satisfying Krishna, we become satisfied. Yeah? Just like mother and child. Yeah? If you have a child, you just try to satisfy the child and mother automatically becomes happy. Once child is happy. Yeah? Same analogy applies there. If you please Krishna, we will automatically become happy. We don't have to make any extra endeavor. Not that kind of child.
I was wondering where the dig was at.
So Jiva. Yeah? Then we have a Kala. We are so much bound by time, aren't we? Make the time our friend, not be fearful. The time will stop. Once we come to realization that I'm eternal soul, yeah, we immediately become liberated. We're not bound by time. Yeah? Immediately. It doesn't matter what happens to this body. It will dwindle, it will go away, merge into earth, water, air, ether, fire, everything merge into. Yeah? Then we'll be left with, so that's eternal. It's not bound by time. Yeah? Time applies in this material world. It doesn't apply in the spiritual world. There is no time in the spiritual world. Time is only here. We're bound by time. Fearful of time. My time is ticking. My time is ticking. Your time is ticking. Yeah? No need to worry about that. What was the fourth one? Karma was the last one. Huh? Prakriti. Thank you. You were listening. Were you? Prakriti. Prakriti is nature. Nature. So we all have individual nature. Yeah? But we can utilize that nature to please Krishna. Yeah? Dasyam Sakhyam Atmani Vedo. Become friend of Krishna. We become his parents. Krishna allows that. There is no philosophy in the world that tells you that you can have this kind of relationship with God. God is not some kind of abstract. That far off, somewhere there, with long beard, old, walking with a stick, and if you don't do this, he's going to beat you up. Nothing like that. Krishna is the most loving personality. Generally we have fear of God, isn't it? Yeah? Generally we have fear of God. Yeah? When I was growing up, I was told that you have to kind of fear of God. But by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, never have this feeling of fear. Never have this feeling of fear. He's a loving Father. Even though Father chastises, he chastises with love. So you can stay on the right path. But Krishna gives us complete free will. You love him with your free will. Choose that. Utilize that free will to love him. Krishna is loving already. He has supplied everything we can imagine. Yeah? Everything is supplied. There's nothing that is not supplied. We just need to start acknowledging that love of Krishna in our lives. The air, water that if these things were not there, you can't buy them. You go to countries where there is no water. We're lucky to have it. We just need to start saying thank you to Krishna for everything what he has done for us. Supplied everything. Yeah? If someone gives you a gift, yeah, we remember for a month or two or so. Here Krishna is giving us gift continuously. And of all the gifts Krishna has given this human form of life, that's the best gift we can have. Just imagine the other forms of life, what happens to them. They are made slave here. We keep dogs at home. That's not natural habitat for them. Someone sent me a clip today. There was a parrot. They put the parrot in the bed, blanket on the top. Like this parrot need to be out, flying in the trees and living with family and everything. Why are we caging them? Yeah? So compared to them, we are very, very lucky to be born as a human being. And lastly, karma. We talked about it. Yeah? That's Newton's third law, isn't it? Newton's third law. He confirms. He's a science man. Newton's third law. You hit someone, your hand also gets slapped with the same force, same intensity, not less. Yeah? Not less. That's karma. Whatever is happening to you today is entirely based on previous karma. Whatever activities we are doing today, we're building our karma for the future. That's science. That's purely science. It has nothing to do with Gita or anything else. Gita just explains that the phenomena that's happening outside the world, in here. This is karma. Once we become, what the modern world has done is systematically kill this philosophy of karma. Now we talk about it, but unconsciously. Once we start thinking about it consciously, yeah, you wouldn't harm a creature. You would not steal anything. You would not do any bad thing. Forget about human beings. Even to the lowest of creatures, you won't touch them. You know, I'm going to do this. Same thing is going to happen to me tomorrow. During the Vedic time, people believed in this. That's why they lived very peacefully. But the modern life has killed. At least we have started talking about karma in our day-to-day language now. But we just have to start consciously thinking about it. Karma. Very important. Start thinking, our life will start transforming from within. We don't have to show anyone. People will acknowledge, see the transformation happening to you, and they will ask questions. What drug are you taking? You look very blissful all the time. Stress, anxiety don't bother you anymore. You know this is linked. I've done karma, it's coming to me. So be it. I'll be happy. I'm not going to take revenge from anyone. Be happy. That's the solution for happiness. That's the solution. Simple. Follow, be happy, be blissful. Happy life. Any questions? Yes, Prabhu.
If I were a Muslim, and I believe Quran is the book, and it says Allah is the supreme God. So how does Krishna come into Allah? And I believe Allah is everywhere and all powerful. And
Exactly.
so how does Krishna?
Allah is Krishna. Allah is Krishna. You know what Jesus Christ said? He told people he was preaching, there's a whole loads of knowledge around. You are not ready to receive it. Thus I'm giving you just fraction of that knowledge to you. That's the Bible for us. Even that Bible we have changed it in so many ways that it lost its all potency. People read Bible, go and eat meat and drink alcohol. That's not what the Bible was for. Bible was for transforming our life. Jesus Christ was true devotee of the Lord. Yeah, true devotee of the Lord. Similar thing Muhammad. The people were so corrupt and so degraded in that part of the world. If you read the history, you will come to understand. So for them to bring little above from the filth was the hard task. Yeah? If you give them that you become a sadhu and start meditating and all of that, they wouldn't have taken this process. For them, they would have given up. Yeah? So he just, from that kind of rotten place, he brought them a little bit up. Okay? Don't kill your own people, you can kill others. Because they were killing everyone they found. They used to live in kabilas. Yeah? They would attack each other. So much filth was going on. He just improved their quality a little bit. Little bit only. Now it's up to them. If you're path of seeker, because Sanatana Dharma is path of seeker, you don't stop. I've read Bhagavad Gita once, I won't stop. I've read many times. Every time I read, I learn new things. That's the seeking. So we are seekers. What the Sanatana Dharma tells you is that you seek, you don't stop. Because journey is very far. We have to seek. We don't stop seeking. Yeah? There are some issues where they limit their experiences. In Krishna consciousness, that's not the case. It is just the beginning of the joyful journey we have. Beginning of joyful journey. It is just the beginning. Go deeper and deeper and deeper. You compete with yourself, not others. So Krishna is Allah. They call him.
Interesting how you said about Jesus also as being one of the true devotees.
Absolutely.
Jesus.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. And our Srila Prabhupada has said many times, but people stop believing in him. That's the trouble. They use him as a political tool. And that's what the most religion in this kind of age of Kali is used. Just political tool. More numbers, more influence, more political drama. That's it. What we have to look is transformation here. When you see someone before you, are you going to, do you have hatred? Do you envy? Yeah? Seeing it, once we come to perfection stage, yeah, we start seeing Krishna in everyone's heart. You won't harm anyone. Yeah? You lose that kind of tendency to envy anyone on this planet. Forget about who is from what caste, what religion, what country, and what not. All dogma is around just because we think that we are this body. Yeah? We see people through the color, creed, religion, culture, and things like that. But not from the point of view of soul. Soul is the same. Your soul and my soul, exactly the same. Our tendency to love Krishna may differ because we have different rasas, mellows. But qualitatively, we are exactly the same. There is no male soul and there is no female soul. When you lose out that, yeah, there's so much battle about male and female and this and that. Once we come to the understanding of soul, myself and Sandra, we are the same people. We have the same loving kind of relationship with Krishna. Absolutely the same. We lose out. If we really want to come out of the dogma of this material world, we just come to the platform of soul. Most of the problems are solved. And then really we start enjoying the human form of life. Because at the moment we're just fighting for eating, sleeping, mating and defending. That's it. That's the whole life, the energy, the effort, everything just goes in these four things. Eating, sleeping, mating and defending. Is that what this human form of life is for? Because the rest of other creatures, they're doing exactly the same. We're not different. A higher intelligence Krishna has given to humans to inquire higher. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Let's inquire about who we are. Ask questions. Who am I? Kayami. There's Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Kayami. Who am I? What's the purpose of my life? We don't ask these questions. We are, from the school time, we send it into these molds. We come out with molded, yeah? Someone nurse, someone doctor, someone something else, and now we are just like jet. You can't turn it. Our schools are like that. Donkeys. We come out as donkeys, carrying the burden. Society, family, country. When do we get chance to live our own life? We're just fulfilling expectations of country, society, family, friend, wife, husband, children. Why is the time for us? We have to ask these questions. So we must write these things somewhere. Who am I? What's the purpose of my life? What am I doing in this world? How is it that my human life is different from a dog's life? If we can't differ, we have failed miserably as a human being.
My dog has a better life.
There you go. His dog has a better life.
Does he not? Doesn't go to work? He gets food?
And your cat has better life than humans?
Even animals and that.
Yeah.
You look at where a cat can nurture a little duck. We don't help each other.
Exactly the point is, we have so much hatred,
Yeah.
so much competitiveness, so much comparing with each other. We lose out the happiness part of it. We're living, just living, comparing, competing, fighting, this and that. We stop living in that process. By the time we come to realize we're already old and about to die, and then we cry and, I don't do this and don't do that. Life is lost. Too late. When we wake up. Yes, sir.
I was going to say also the age in Chikali is people are frightened to help each other because
Exactly.
the way the material world is.
Yeah.
Somebody falls over, we would naturally want to go and pick them up and hurt yourself. But then there's the material world steps in. You touched me. You've assaulted me. You broke my arm.
Exactly.
So where you can see the divide now, can't you?
Yes.
More and more and more
Yeah.
is what what your profession is. You naturally help people. When we're all here, we all want to serve. We do serve
Exactly.
in one way or another. But because of the society that we're in now, it's like they want to dim our light. The light we get suppressed and kept down.
Yeah.
All I would say is just keep trusting, trust the process.
Absolutely. Start thinking about ourselves. It's not selfish.
No.
It is just to know ourselves.
Self-preservation.
Once we know ourselves, we'll start loving every single person on this planet. Hatred will be gone. At least you will be safe. You won't be hating anyone.
But Lord Krishna has sent all of us with this illusion, Maya,
Illusion. We are illusion because we think that we are this body.
Yeah. And one more thing, I don't know if it's true, when the soul departs the body, what does the soul take? The karmas we have done, because it has to take another body in order to...
Yeah. So when we die, we leave our gross body. The subtle body, the mind, intelligence and ego, that's where the karma are sitting. Our karma sits there in the form of mind, intelligence and ego. Yeah? And it carries from one body to other.
But as we say, the soul departs from the body. The soul goes along with the karmas. How
Yeah.
does
Soul departs the body. It just leaves the gross body. That's it. But the subtle body, that's mind, intelligence and ego, goes with the soul into the next body. That's why you're born, same family, they have 4 children, they're given the same kind of upbringing, but they turn out so different. Yeah? Turn out so different. Entirely based on karma. Entirely based on karma. And that's a science. That's a science. Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, you just spoken about as a devotee we should sort of kill other creatures and so on and so forth, How about people kill animals to eat? What are your thoughts about eating meat?
Absolutely wrong.
Against it.
We cannot talk about compassion when we have dead animal in our plate. We have to have compassion. They also have family, they also have children, they are also born with certain kind of karma. We shorten their life. We have no right to shorten their life. If you cannot give life, you cannot shorten their life. And more importantly, Krishna says, what we do, devotee as a devotee, that we offer everything, we want to. So we eat. And Krishna says that, offer me patram pushpam phalam toyam. Krishna doesn't say that offer meat. Yeah? A higher thing is here, that what Krishna is asking us to do. We love Krishna. Krishna is asking, okay, do this, and we want to do this. So there's a love part is more important than eating meat. Yes. At a lower level, eating meat is bad. The higher level, we want to see what pleases Krishna most. Because we love Krishna. So if you love someone, you're going to do everything possible to please them. That's a higher principle. Higher principle is that Krishna loves leafy vegetables, patram, pushpam, flower, fruit, and water or drapya. Offer that to Krishna. Simple. That's a higher principle. Krishna loves that. I'm going to do this for Krishna. Though I may not like it, but Krishna likes it, I will do it for Krishna. That's a higher principle. Love. Yeah. Prema is more important. Love is more important than our own. I don't eat this, I don't like that, I like that. No. You love Krishna, do it for Krishna. Simple. Simple logic, simple. When you ask these questions all the time, you will get answer that Krishna likes this, I will do this for Krishna. Simple. Hare Krishna. We've gone over, we didn't do Kirtan today, sorry. Apology. But it's time for prasadam. Unless everyone has any questions, we can take them after the class. Hare Krishna.
Really good.
Really good.